ideology, what is the reason for this rise of anti-Semitism? Why do we see it? Why is this problem not going away?
This is a problem that cannot go away. It always existed, and it exists now, and it will continue to exist until we remove it through our correct behavior. What Kabbalah explains is that from the moment the people of Israel, the Jews, were established, which took place in ancient Babylon through the school of Abraham, which is about 3,500 years ago. That group was established because in ancient Babylon there was a great crisis that took place, a crisis among human beings. The human egoism erupted and made people start hating each other. Abraham was actually a Babylonian priest who researched what was happening, and he understood that this is because people, human beings, have started to change. The human ego began to evolve. And so he explained that we have to rise above the growth of the human ego. And the slogan for that was love thy friend as thyself, or love covers all crimes. What that means is that those who joined him from all the different little nations in ancient Babylon that existed then, they joined him and left Babylon towards the land of Canaan, or today's Israel. And that group established a way of life of a unified society. They were a society where everyone is like a brother to each other, in such a way that they existed through that brotherly love. That was their foundation. Now, after they established themselves, and after they went through different exiles and different processes, every time they reunited, they were successful. They prospered. And every time they couldn't, for whatever reason, and that's because of the constant rise of the human ego, and then that society had to rise above the human ego and work against it. And so whenever they couldn't, when they failed to do so, they fell from their status to the point that they were exiled and conquered, and there were different kinds of exile throughout history, until what is called the ruin of the temple. It is a symbol. It's about 2,000 years ago, an event that symbolizes the end of the connection between those people. And Rabbi Akiva, who was the great sage in the nation, tried to cry out that we have to maintain what's called love thy friend as thyself. Otherwise we won't survive, because our nation is not a nation. It's a collection of people from different nations in Babylon. We don't have any original connection. If every nation has an origin that comes from a certain family, in our case, we come from all of those groups and clans and tribes of Babylon, or all the 70 nations of the world, if you will. We came from all of them, and the only thing that unified us was that ideal of love thy friend. And so the maxim that represents the people of Israel is love thy friend as thyself. That means that human connection has to persist and rise above all the egoistic differences between us. But they couldn't maintain that, and they didn't listen to those voices, and they couldn't overcome the growing ego, and that's what's happened. From generation to generation, this is what the engine that drives humanity's evolution, the growth of the human ego. So when they could no longer maintain connection above it, they were exiled and scattered. The people of Israel were scattered in many directions. In the time of the ruin of the first temple, they also lost 10 tribes out of 12. Where are they now? Somewhere in the world. We don't know. Now, what's happening in the meantime is that the world is also evolving. And its evolution, again, is by the growth of the human ego. And that leads the world to various crises, conflicts, wars, etc. And so the world senses that that group must somehow deliver the better life. The nations of the world feel that that the people of Israel is supposed to deliver something good, and it is the obligation of the people of Israel to bring about that unity of mankind, to show how that is possible. Today, we're in a time that Kabbalah, by the way, explains. It's written about it from a long time ago, about what's happening today, that the demand that the nations of the world have towards us is that they feel that if we will do something that we're supposed to do, they'll be better off. And if we don't do that, they'll feel bad. Things will be bad. They inherently feel a certain dependency, that we have some sort of secret, something that we owe the world. Their hatred is not without a basis. It's not just like some law of nature that they hate Jews and that's it. No, they themselves don't understand what they hate us, and the common Jew doesn't understand this also. But the wisdom of Kabbalah clarifies this for thousands of years. Because the people of Israel have to create a unity that enables the whole world to achieve unity. Now, this isn't mysticism. This is something that the Book of Zohar explains about 2,000 years ago. And when you study the wisdom of Kabbalah as a wisdom, I also did my PhD on this. And when you study it, you begin to see that this is the only way that we can deliver what we're supposed to deliver, fulfill our obligation towards the world. Now, the moment that we unite, that we connect correctly through these concepts of one shall help his friend, all Israel are brothers, through love of the creations, to love of all created beings. It is something that permeates the world, all nations of the world. Whether they like it or not, they'll begin to sense that they receive a positive force from us. It works in sort of this underground way. This is something that we can deliver to them, communicate to them, radiate to them. And then they will be also capable of connecting amongst themselves and with us. Only that connection between us Jews, the positive connection between us, turns the world, shifts the world to good. And so the world's attitude towards us is not just some instinct of hating Jews. They have inherently, they don't know it, but this is how the law of nature works. Their hatred towards us is because they're expecting us to deliver something positive to them. And they also claim that the Jews are destroying the world. They just can't explain why. And the reason is what I just said. Now, there's a whole lot of details to add to this. There are entire books, not just written by me, but by many Kabbalists since the Book of Zohar or the study of the 10 Sfirot. They all write about this. And this is really what it's about. What we need to do, what we have to do, is unity between us. And we don't need to ask anyone. We don't need to wait for anyone. If we solve this problem among the Jews, the whole world will start healing and respect us instead of hate us. That's it.